اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Al-Malhamah, according to the Hadith, is going to be, the greatest war that will ever happen. And many people will die. Now, if we compare this to World War I, World War II, millions of people died in World War I and World War II. And that still wasn't the Malhamah. So people need to realize, if you believe in the Sahih Hadith, if you believe in the Quran, you need to be prepared for what is coming. Unfortunately, too many people, they treat this like it is fantasy. Like this is not going to happen, like it's not going to affect them. But we see every year with situations developing, not just in the Middle East, but elsewhere. The world is heading towards war. Every country is investing billions and billions of dollars into weapons. For what?
The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. Yeah, that's what he says. The war, this was 1925. Please understand that. At least 1925. May go all the way back to 1871, as is purported to do, but at least it was written in a book and published in 1925. So the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. That's what it says.
What can your average person do, the average Muslim? Practically, what can we do to prepare for the Malhamah? Basically, you need to find a place in the countryside, a land that is fertile, a land that has good water resources, a land where you can farm and grow crops, things like that. People laugh at these, at these solutions. But this is what is going to happen. Let me tell you, when a war begins, and it will, if you look at Syria today, if you look at Yemen today, if you look at Iraq today, the people who suffer the most are those who live in the big cities.
Yeah.
Because those are the places that are dependent on supplies for food, for water, for electricity. People who live in the countryside and they have wells and they have water and they have land for farming, they don't suffer as much. They can grow their own food. They can, keep their own animals.
Yeah.
They have a fresh water supply. They don't need electricity to pump water from the ground or from a tank all the way to the 10th floor if you live in a tower. This is modern warfare. It is not ancient warfare anymore. It is modern warfare. Armies will not fight each other directly. Instead, they focus on taking out your strategic installations. This could be military installations, it could be your electricity plants, your petroleum plants. It could be, if you're a country that depends on, if you don't have natural water resources and you depend on desalinating water from the sea, it could attack those plants. This is what modern warfare is all about. And so the people living in apartments and towers who rely on electricity to pump water from the ground, take it to the top, and then let the gravity bring it down into your pipes, those people are going to suffer. Those people are going to suffer. How can you prevent this? Being very logical, very practical. Save money, invest in clean green energy. Which means your solar panels, your small legal wind turbines, those. Invest in those things. If it's too early to get a property, it may be too early for most of us, I believe that.
Yeah.
But keep that in mind now. But it's not too early to collect other things, right? Some important tools, axes, hatchets, your building tools, learn some skills, some survival skills, depending on where you live, of course. If you live in a place that has no forest for kilometers, then you don't need these things. But if you live in a place, or you plan to live in a place with lots of nature nearby, then yes, work on your survival skills. Choose to build a life where you are free and you can opt out of the society if something bad happens. That is a practical approach to the Malhama. And the most important of all is learning how to fight. No matter what the world tells you, no matter what the kuffar tell you, that, oh, you're radical, no. Self-defense is your legal, basic human right. If you don't know how to fight, all you're really doing is collecting supplies for the toughest guy in the neighborhood. Because if something bad happens and you don't know how to protect yourself, people eventually, they will attack other people. He's gonna come, to your house, turn you upside down, take your things, probably take your women too. This happens in war. Go study World War I, go study World War II, go study the countless riots and pogroms and other wars that happen all over, throughout human history. Men are killed, women are taken, food and supplies taken. This happens. So, if the hadith talk about Malhama, which will be the greatest war to ever happen, does that not mean that these things will happen in that war as well? Of course it does. What are you doing to prepare for it? Learn how to fight. Teach your women, especially your women, how to fight and defend themselves. And I'm not saying, I'm not asking you to just playfully teach them. No. Teach them professionally. Send them to a gym, make them join a gym, have them learn how to box, how to defend themselves. I think there might be some good classes of anti-rape techniques and things like that. Because women get raped in war. People need to talk about these things. They took photos of the Muslim women who posted it on Eid, and then they started saying, oh, we're gonna have sex with this one, we're gonna rape that one, we're gonna barter this one, we will sell this girl for 70 rupees and this and that. This is what they think about. These are the fantasies they have for your women. When will you wake up? I'm speaking to the South Asian, when I say South Asian, I mean Indian specifically, because Pakistan and Bangladesh are two different countries, right? They're majority Muslim. They don't really have an internal threat, at least not from non-Muslims, right? But India, you are surrounded, Indian Muslims, you live among a majority of Kafir population. And in 1947 Jammu massacre, 1989 Bhagalpur riots, 1948 or 1947, I believe, the city of Alwar in Bharatpur, 1948 Operation Polo in Hyderabad, 2002 Gujarat riots, 2020, last year, 2020, in the capital of India, Delhi, thousands of Muslim women were raped. Not one, not two, not thousands of Muslim women were hunted down and raped. Muslim children were raped and then burned alive. Raped and burned alive. So, and that was just common riots and pogroms. Now imagine Malhama, when the entire world will be against Muslims. Right now we see the world powers uniting against Muslims. Sooner or later they're going to declare war. But what is the solution? The solution is to prepare while you still have time. You can prepare in many ways. But learning how to physically defend yourself should be your number one priority. And teaching it to your women should be a priority even before that. And Muslim women, especially in India or anywhere that is, kuffar majority, should know how to defend themselves. And I'm using the word defense, not offense. Do not be the oppressors. We are not the kuffar. We are not going to oppress other people. But if they come to attack us, but if they try to rape our women, we have all the rights in the world to fight back. The kuffar want you to forget your rights. They want you to become submissive. But you have to resist. You have to be able to defend yourself. So I ask all of you, especially, again, the Muslims of India, very, very, very important. Immediately make this a priority. In your family, teach your women how to fight, teach your women how to defend yourself, teach yourself as well, the men, your brothers and your sons and your uncles, and you speak to them when you sit at the family dinner table or on the ground, if you eat traditionally. Speak to them, start these topics, talk about the wars and the riots and the pogroms, and ask them, what if this happens again? And if, there was a person called, I forgot his name, but he was basically lynched to death by 500 Pajids. One Muslim man lynched to death by 500 Pajids because of a rumor that he ate beef. A rumor. And 500 Pajids came to his house, broke his door, attacked his old mother, beat up his son, and killed him. So ask your families, what if this happens to us? What if a random Pajid tomorrow accuses us of eating beef, our family, and then 500 Pajids come out of nowhere and attack us? How will we defend ourselves? Talk about these things. Don't ignore them. When you speak with other people, other Muslims, wallahi, you will realize that they are thinking exactly what you are thinking. And when people who think alike, when they get together and they talk about the problems, that is when solutions present themselves in the form of ideas. But if you don't speak to each other, you will never find the solutions. Never. So these people, these Muslims, not just the Indians, but everywhere, they need to first of all start speaking to one another. They need to start asking questions and thinking, hey, what if this happens to us? What if 2002 Gujarat riots? Or what if what happened to Bharatpur and Alwar, which were, cities during the partition, at the time of the partition in the state of Rajasthan. It is an Indian state next to Pakistan. So these two cities had a large population of Muslim Rajput people. Now Rajput people were people, descendants of Hindu kings, right? So they're considered to be a royal tribe or clan in the Hindu population, in the Hindu religion. But these people converted to Islam. They became Muslims, alhamdulillah. So these two cities, Alwar and Bharatpur, had a large Rajput Muslim population. Under the rule of the Indian National Congress leader named Patel, the guy whose statue, largest statue in the world, was built by Modi. Under his leadership, he, the RSS, and the Indian forces, the police, they came together. So these three came together, and they feared, this is how they presented themselves, they feared that because of these cities, they had large Muslim population. They feared that these cities would join Pakistan. So what they did was, they attacked the cities. And the order was given to kill every Muslim man, every single one, even the children, men, and take the women. That's what they did. And Pakistan was unable to help them. So in the city of Alwar and Bharatpur, every single Muslim man was slaughtered. Their women were raped, taken. Their children, the male children were killed. The elderly were killed. And the women and the girls were taken. And surprisingly, majority of the Indian Muslims I speak to, they don't even know about it. Because it's not taught in their schools. It's not mentioned in their history books. So I want them to think about this. These things have already happened. Go read about 1947 Jammu massacre. So look at how many Muslim women were raped. Go read about 2002 Gujarat riots. Teach your women how to defend themselves. Very, very essential. Start talking about these things with your families and your friends, and eventually all of you, your minds will get together. You will think about solutions. Yeah, what do we do? So right now I will give you some practical legal solutions. First of all, beginning to learning to defend yourself and teaching your women how to defend themselves. The internet, people. The internet, you can learn anything for free on the internet. Go to YouTube and type self-defense techniques, how to learn to defend yourselves. And you will find thousands of videos that teach you for free how can you fight, how can you protect yourself from one attacker, how can you defend yourselves against multiple attackers, what do you do, what techniques do you use, how do you play, what footwork do you use, and how do you move your hands. Everything is there on YouTube. Go learn it from there. If you need some tools, some batons, batons are like a danda basically, but they're made out of steel. That's legal, right? It's called a baton, B-A-T-O-N. Go purchase that. Own it. Get a bat, a baseball bat, cricket bat, anything that is legal. Pepper sprays, things like that. This may sound funny, but again, I'm trying to not get you in trouble because there's many things that you can own, but they're probably not legal. So you have to stick with what is legal, right? Sticks and stones, things like that, unfortunately. But again, this depends on where you live. If you live in the United States, you can own a much better weapon. If you live in Pakistan, you can own really cool weapons, like legally, and they'll be very cheap too. So this is what people need to do. Now, you can also fortify your homes. That is legal as well. What do I mean by that? Let's say if we study the 1947 Jammu massacres, when over 300,000, more than 300,000 Muslims were slaughtered, burned alive, raped, kidnapped, enslaved, all of that. Now, a large part of anti-Muslim pogroms, in South Asia at least, is arson attacks. Means attacking people by fire. So they burn your homes, your shops, right? Probably to draw you out or burn you inside. Or they attack the people with oil and fire. This is very common, a very common tactic of Pajeets. What can you do? You can speak to if you live in a Muslim locality, you can speak to your neighbors. Begin by speaking to your friends and families first. And then you can speak to your neighbors. And then they can speak to their neighbors. And you can form small communities. Small communities. Collect some money together. It doesn't have to be your money. It has to be everybody's money. Collect some money together. And purchase and install one of those strong, pressurized fire hydrants. Yeah, get those installed in your neighborhood. In case something happens, in case Pajeets are coming, and they're gonna burn or do something, turn that thing on and make, just drench all the buildings with water. Saved. You're saved. The buildings won't light on fire anymore. Simple solution. Again, people are gonna say that, oh yeah, this is too simple, I don't think it's gonna work. But it is gonna work. It is a very simple solution. People just don't do it. They just don't do it. Right? So, installing fire hydrants or owning fire extinguishers, the big ones. And that can help. Fortifying your homes, replacing your wooden doors with doors made out of metal or steel. How much is that going to cost? How much? I believe not even $500, $300, $400 perhaps, or maybe even less. You can get a door made out of steel. You can get a door made out of metal. You can, have a welder weld small spikes into it so nobody rams the door. Things like that. These small things are exactly what's going to save you. But if you laugh at these things and you think that these are just theories and it will never happen, you are not studying history, and you will suffer for not studying history. What else can you do besides learning how to defend yourself and fortifying your homes, fortifying your windows, your doors, things like that? What you can also do is make space for storage in your home in case of a mass riot or war. And if you cannot afford to buy another property somewhere far away, right, a fertile land or something, what you can do in whatever house you have, store some food that can last for years. So invest in long-lasting food. And I'll give you an example. So there's something called freeze-dried food. Those can last for years, basically, 15 to 20 years. But they're a bit expensive, so you can instead store something like rice or oats. Anything that would, in case you cannot go outside and the supplies are stopped and the markets are, basically depleted. Anything that can give you and your family enough calories so that you will not starve for at least 6 months without going outside. And that is a good investment. So if, things go, if a riot happens or a war starts, you don't have to open your door. You don't even have to go outside. You can stay. But you can choose other things. You can choose your property wisely. You can choose perhaps a neighborhood that is Muslim majority or a big number of Muslims there. Things like that. These little things. Especially the brothers and sisters who live with Bajids. I've been telling them that, look, study the history. Please don't listen to me. If you think I'm a conspiracy theorist, if you think I'm crazy, if you think that I'm a jahil, Bharatpur and Alwar, about the 1947 Jammu massacres, about the 2002 Gujarat riots, study the cases that have happened there. The horrific things. Do you know, in one case in the 2002 riots, a Bajid guy, do you know what he did, Faisal? He took a pregnant Muslim lady, then he took a sword, he cut open her belly, took out her unborn child, and pierced the child with the tip of the sword. Imagine the brutality. Look, when doctors, they operate to take the baby out, it hurts. They use anesthesia.
Yeah.
Now imagine cutting the belly with a sword. Imagine the woman screaming in pain, tearing off the baby from her belly, and then killing that unborn baby. And that Bajid did not get arrested. He did not get punished. He's still alive. He's still roaming India. This is what has happened. This is the brutality done to Muslims. And if these Muslims still call me a conspiracy theorist, and if they still do not prepare, then there's nothing I can do. They're going to suffer and they're going to regret. So people need to study history. They need to talk to their families and friends about this. If some other kuffar go mental tomorrow, like that guy in New Zealand, he walked into a mosque with a gun and he killed 40, 50 Muslims, including children.
Yeah.
If something like that happens tomorrow, and if I'm there, how can I save these people? How can I defend myself? Well, if one of those Muslims in that mosque had acquired a license and owned a small legal firearm, don't you think he could have saved people?
Yeah.
These are the small things that people need to do that can save their lives. If that mosque had just one security with a gun, those 50 people would still be alive today.
Yeah.
Those children would still be alive today.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, in the 2002 riots, if that woman, the pregnant woman, whose belly was cut open with a sword, an unborn child was taken out and killed, if one of her family members had a weapon, or one of her neighbors had a gun, don't you think they would have been able to defend her? I think so, because look, the people who attack us, they are also human beings. They fear death just as we do. It's true. So there are other cases from India itself. I forgot the name of the place, but basically what happened was some Pajeets started some riots. They started killing Muslims. And there were two Muslim neighborhoods in the city. One of the Muslim neighborhoods had a lot of weapons. They had guns. And so when Pajeets went there, and these Muslims, they opened fire into the air, and the Pajeets ran away. But the other neighborhood did not have weapons. So the Pajeets entered that neighborhood and massacred the men, raped the women, kidnapped children and all of that, and looted and burned and went away. What does this tell you? It tells you that even if you're a minority, even if you're being attacked by people who are large in numbers, they are human beings too. They fear death. So if you are capable of defending yourself, if you can scare them away, they will leave you alone. It's the most logical solution, but people, I don't know why, they just don't do it. For people who can legally acquire these weapons, legally acquire these weapons, it is important to sign into a nice gun range, get an instructor, get a teacher, and learn how to use these things. Because, it's not a game. It's not a game, wallahi. If any of you has owned a weapon, a pistol or a rifle or something, they're not a game. If you don't know how to use them, you can end up hurting yourself or your family members or your friends. Or some people who are innocent. You need to learn how to use them if you're going to purchase them. So that is important, first of all. And you need to talk about these things. Talk about the Malhamah. Show them the hadith. Show them lectures. There's countless lectures on the Malhamah, on the Great War, on Palestine, on Israel, on Jerusalem, by Sheikh Imran Hussein. Listen to them. To a scholar of your choice. To a scholar who makes sense, and who sticks to the Quran and sticks to the Sunnah. And listen to them. Show the lectures to your families and friends. Eventually, they will start to believe in you. And that is how you begin to prepare. At the very least, this pandemic has taught a lot of us. Preparing is necessary.
Yeah.
I think you would agree, Faisal. Yeah.
Obviously.
When the markets were shut down, or without a warning,
Yeah.
I bet you majority of the people, would have thought that I wish I had saved some emergency food or cash or something on me. Majority, and I was included in those people. Right? I did not save anything.
Yeah.
So when the market shut down, I suffered for a while. And when the market reopened, the first thing I did was I purchased rice, I purchased a lot of glucose biscuits, I purchased, what are those things called? Oats, white oats, and things like that. So food with, lots of calories, lentils and things like that. And I just stored them. And I was like, what, if the markets close down again, I'll have stuff to eat. I won't starve, I won't suffer like I did for basically 10-20 days.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل